let's make something new right now. We could be friends and get ideas flowing. Come on, let's make something new right now. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on.
Hey, Let's Create fam. We are pausing to jump into a quick conversation about one of my favorite weekends of the entire year. That would be photo camp. Photo camp is my educational content weekend in Folly Beach, South Carolina, where we have 10 styled shoots, some amazing educational speakers, and we get to all hang out together in a luxury camp house by the beach. It's amazing. Because I love you guys, I wanted to invite you to apply to the 2025 photo camp before anybody else. So let me give you the info. The only 2025 photo camp is March 13th through 15th. And this year's speakers will be Preston Luke, Danielle Hickman, Georgia and Micah McMaster, Shelby Cuenca, and of course, me, Alex Blake. So if you're wanting to grow deeper in community, dive into your creativity, and be coached by photography educators, this is an experience you will not want to miss. I promise it's going to be awesome. If you want more info or you're ready to apply right now here on the spot, you can go to photocampinfo.com or follow Photocamp at Photocamp Events on Instagram. All right, let's get back to the episode. Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today I have a guest on the pod. Her name is Abbey. Say hi, Abbey.
Hello.
Abbey, you're Abbey Jo Photos, right? On Instagram?
Yeah, Abbey Jo Photos on Instagram.
Amazing. Yeah, Abby's work, if you guys don't follow her, you guys are going to fall in love with her. Her work is amazing, but she's also just a really sweet human. So we were talking for a second before the podcast, before we started recording, and we were like, it's weird that we haven't met in person. Like, yeah. I feel like we've been friends for years.
No, seriously.
In my heart.
I feel like we're meeting right now. It's just all there is a screen blocking us.
But like, honestly, like, real. Yeah, we could do like a little air hug.
Yeah, a little screen hug.
Amazing. Well, okay, Abbey, tell us a little bit about like you and your photography and just life.
Yeah. Let's see, where do I even start? I mean, I have kind of been doing photography for a really long time, pretty much like my whole life, I want to say. Like, I started at a really young age, got into it as a hobby, and my family just always kind of encouraged it and loved it. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess I must be good at this, even though I was not at the time. But, just had that like extra voice from others telling me to keep going. And so I kind of always pursued it, and then knew I wanted to go to college for it, get my degree in it, and which is not common, but I decided to get my bachelor's degree and was able to concentrate in photography with like a studio art degree. And so,
Where did you go to school?
I went to Biola University, which is it's like on the border of LA and Orange County.
Cool. Did you love it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I got such a great college experience there, and it's a private university too, and I really loved that. I got a minor in Bible, which is kind of funny to say.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, like I have a minor in Bible, which is really cool too. Like I got to study the Bible and learn so much, and
that's cool.
It grew me so much as a person, as an artist, and in my faith. So I was really grateful for that. And I kind of left college feeling like, like I didn't really need a degree to do photography, especially like the freelance side of it. I did it because I wanted to work in the corporate world one day and be like a photo editor for like Patagonia or something. Like that was my initial dream. I know.
The most
back when Patagonia was like a big thing. Patagonia was a big thing here in like 2015 to 2016.
That's amazing.
2018, I want to say. Like I always everybody was wearing a Patagonia fleece.
So, that is so funny.
It's also like a very California thing, like a coastal California thing to wear like a puffer from Patagonia. Like at that time.
Totally, yeah.
It's like you're from like Santa Barbara or like Ventura if you've got like one of those Patagonia puffers.
Was it like matched with like boots at the time, or not really?
I don't remember. I feel like people just kind of wore like rainbows, like rainbow flip-flops, or some sort. Yeah, that's California.
That is so funny. That's amazing.
That's a big memory. At least that's what I see today sometimes. But I don't know. Maybe it was like that back then.
Maybe
not in the winter, but when it's like those hotter days that get really cold at night.
That is so funny. Did you grow up in California?
I did, but I grew up in Northern California. So like Sacramento area, like north of Sacramento.
Cool.
So I grew up there, which is like 2.5 to 3 hours away from the beach, 4
Nice.
hours from Yosemite, an hour and a half from Lake Tahoe, kind of like in the middle of just like a random area, but like lots of those fun places aren't
Yeah.
super, super far, but like just far enough away to not be able to like
Yeah.
go do those
It's
things
in the
all the
middle
time.
of like everywhere and nowhere at the same
Yes,
time.
exactly. So I definitely like loved it, growing up there. But once I, left for college and then came home from college and then got married, my husband and I both, we love Southern California so much. And we were just
Yeah.
like, we need to go back. And so
Yeah.
we came back
Wait,
down and
guys, I have to pause and let everybody know that both Abby and I are married to Zachs.
yes. And
Not the
are they
same
both the
Zach.
same?
Not
Yeah,
the
not
same
the same
Zach.
one. Not the same guy. But
How does your Zach spell it?
it's just ZAC.
Oh no,
It's very
that's where we
rare.
fall off.
He is a
Yeah.
weird one. He doesn't like H's.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
he refuses to put an H on the end of his name. It's so
Well,
funny.
my Zach has an H, so I
Okay, there you
guess
go.
this is
I
where
mean,
our
his real
friendship
name is
ends,
Zachary,
you
and that
know?
has an H, so it makes no sense. But
That is hilarious. Anyway, Zach husbands unite.
yes, totally.
Okay, keep it going though. So
Yeah.
you love Southern California.
Yes, we love Southern California, and we decided to move to San Diego because we both wanted to go somewhere we hadn't really lived before.
Cool.
Because we both lived in Orange County before, but we were like, no, let's go somewhere new, somewhere where we can literally like start from scratch with community and like both make a community together as newlyweds. That's like
Yeah,
our community together.
cool.
And
When
so
did you
yeah,
guys get married?
we got married in 2020.
Ooh, okay. We got
Yeah.
married December 2019.
Oh, that's
So,
so
so
fun.
similar.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, we got married in November of 2020. So
Ooh, okay.
yeah,
So through the craziness.
yes, through the craziness, yeah, risky
Did you?
business, but
Yeah. Literally.
it all worked out. I mean, NorCal was so different at that time compared to SoCal. Like where I'm
Okay.
from, it just was so different up there. Like people are very chill. It all worked out the way it needed to. We were friends, really good friends with the venue that we got married at, and so
Cool.
they were just kind of like, do whatever you want. Like it's not a big deal, and it was all outside, and it was pretty low key.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, we told everybody, hey, you don't have to come if you don't want to. And then everybody came, so we were
But
like,
we're getting
okay,
married.
we're doing it.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. So that was super fun. But yeah, we moved down here in 2021 actually.
Okay.
So we've been here for like a little over 3 years now.
Nice. Do you feel
Yeah.
like it's home?
Yeah, we do. I feel like pretty quickly after we moved here, it's funny because we came down saying, oh, we'll just go down for like the first, like 4 to 5 years of marriage, have like a little
Yeah.
adventure, go back up when we want to settle down, whatever. And literally within like a year of being here, we were like, so we're never leaving.
And now you're like starting your family there.
Exactly. So now we're like, we will stay here for as long as we can afford it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
truly the factor that
Yeah.
plays into
Yeah,
living in
it's so
San Diego for
expensive.
most people. Yeah. So we're just kind of like, hey, we'll stay here for as long as we can afford to, and if not, we will totally go somewhere else that will work
Yeah.
better. But this is definitely home. Like we feel still at home. We live like 4 minutes away from our church, and we
Cool.
have a great community there, and we're just really grateful for our people here. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Okay, going back to photography stuff. Tell us about what you shoot, what gear you use, et cetera, literally whatever you want.
Yeah. I have always shot on Sony actually, which I feel like
Ooh,
wasn't
okay.
very popular for a while, but it's become more popular, I feel like, in the last couple years.
Yeah, I think so
Um,
too.
yeah, I love Sony. I've always shot on it, and I actually chose it like originally because I kind of wanted to get into video when I was in college. Like I wanted to
Hmm.
have the option to do either, and Sony was a good middle ground for that with
Yeah.
just like the quality that you get with video with Sony. So I just kind of like went with that and stuck with it, and just been doing that. And I haven't really done video very much. Like every now and then I'll do like a quick little thing on the
Yeah.
side for like a brand, but no
Yeah.
grand like video content like that's super professional or
That's me
anything.
too. I offer
Like I'll
reels
dabble,
through my
yeah,
camera.
reels.
Yeah,
It's
like
like the
with
social
for
media content.
brands, and then like my podcast. And that's the
Yep,
extent of it. I'm like, that's all I got, guys.
100%. So
That's so funny.
yeah, other than that, like I'm pretty simple when it comes to my gear. I feel like I'm kind of like less is more in a sense, but I do have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of like unnecessary gear. Like I have an unnecessary amount of film cameras that sit on my shelf, and there's even a camera
But
I
they're
bought last
fun.
year. Yeah, I have one that
They
I
make
bought
good
last year.
decor.
I know, it's basically decor, yeah. but I have one that I haven't even tested yet. I bought it like so long ago.
That's so funny.
So it's just so funny. I'm like, I need to go through that and like
Yeah.
downsize. But
But
when it
you're a
comes to,
collector.
yeah, I'm a kind of a hoarder when it comes to my photography stuff. Like I have random bins of the most like random cords and crazy things like
That's
that. So
so funny.
yeah. But yeah, other than that, like I shoot on a 24-70 for most of my work. That's
Cool.
been like my go-to lens for the last like 2 years. And I have like a 35 for low light, and I have two very big zoom lenses, but that's usually just for like my hobby type stuff with like surf photography
I
and
was
things
about
like
to
that.
ask, is it surf
Yeah.
photography? Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, I keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, that's actually really similar to me. I don't shoot film,
Okay.
but I also do a 24-70 for almost everything. I
It's
have a
so great.
35 and I have a 50, but I'm like,
Yeah.
when you have the 24-70 and you
Yeah.
can zoom,
I
it's so
seriously,
adaptable.
honestly, to any like photographers out there, especially like wedding photographers, because I did
Mhm.
weddings for 6 years before I switched to brands, and oh my gosh, I didn't switch to a 24-70 until like the very last couple months that I was shooting weddings.
Yeah.
And I like literally kicked myself. I was like, I can't even believe I went this
Why
long.
did I do this?
Why did I go this long without that? Because I was shooting on like a 35 for the majority of like wedding stuff, and I had a zoom lens
Yeah.
too. But I would kind of go back and forth between the zoom lens and that.
Though,
But
I feel like it was such a different style at the time because having a low f-stop was like the bread and butter of all photographers at that time. Like, I don't
yeah,
know, when did you switch to brands? Like, when did you stop doing weddings?
I stopped doing weddings at the very beginning of 2022.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I feel like the rise of film has come in a lot, which is
Yes.
like higher f-stop a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
so the 24-70 that has the higher like f-stop to be a
Yeah.
2.8, it's like you don't really need the like lower
Yeah.
buttery background as
It's
much anymore
really
for the
just for
style that's
those
in.
portraits. Yeah. Or like
Yeah.
detail shots. Even detail shots, not really. But yeah, it's crazy though. Like it's such a great universal lens. I feel like it's the most
Yeah.
universal lens that I've ever used where I'm like, this works so well for so many things. And especially when it comes to brand work, like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
need that higher f-stop because there's been plenty of times where
Yeah.
I didn't utilize that and like realize how important a higher f-stop is because you need things to be in focus. Like you need the whole product to be in
Yes.
focus, not just like a part of the label or like,
Yeah, that's
things like
actually
that.
so good. That was something I learned too when I started
Wow.
working with brands where it's like it's not just about focusing on the person's face. It's like
Mhm.
you're right, it's focusing on the label, it's focusing on the t-shirt design in general
Yeah.
or whatever it is. So that is so good. Okay, tell us a little bit about like your journey from weddings to brands because I'm so curious about that. And I know you talk about it on your Instagram and stuff, but I would love to hear more.
Yes, totally. So I don't even know where to begin. Like, there's so much I could say. Like, I don't know where to start. I guess, like, okay, so in the fall of 2021, I was starting to feel kind of burnt out. Like, I wasn't like fully burnt out yet, but I was starting to kind of get into that space of like, okay, like, I still love this, but I do feel
Mhm.
like I'm curious to know what else is out there. Like, I'm
Yeah,
curious to kind of like tap into whatever else I could try just to see if there's something else I might end up being more passionate about. And honestly, like I really always wanted to do brand work. Back in college, I did get the chance to try it out, which was really
cool.
cool. I had connections with people that were able to give me some really great like opportunities capturing like product. Like it was like a really random
Cool.
thing, but I got to do that a couple times, and it really like lit up my soul. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the coolest thing ever. I want to do this. But it was like harder back then.
Yeah.
Like getting out of college, you're kind of like, okay, like what do I do now? So
Yeah,
uh,
literally.
jumping into weddings was so easy. I mean, I already had clients booking me, junior year of college for weddings. So it was kind
Wow.
of like easy to jump into that. So I did that for a while, but it felt like a full circle when I came back around to brand, like the idea of brands, because
Yeah.
when I moved to Southern California, that was the fall that I actually moved to Southern California too. So fall of 2021, I was starting to feel kind of ready to try something new, and I had just moved here. And when I moved here, I was starting to get like a lot of random inquiries and opportunities from brands, and
Oh,
was
cool.
like, oh dang, like this is actually an option here. Like this was not an option in Sacramento, like it was a little bit. Like I actually did photos for a boutique for an entire year in like
Cool.
2019 to 2020, and that was amazing. That was a really great opportunity to get into like just fashion and product.
Yeah.
So I did dabble in that for a while, but it wasn't like a serious thing to me yet. Like I just kind of like did it on the side for fun. But then when I got here and I was actually getting real opportunities, I was like, oh, like maybe I could actually do this. Like, I don't know, let's try it out, So,
It's like,
so
maybe I could.
yeah, exactly. So Southern California is a really great place for that, though. I mean, it's such a hub here.
Definitely.
It is a hub for startups. It's a hub for all sorts of companies and brands that are like,
Yeah.
have their home base here in Southern California, their HQs and stuff like that. So, over the years, like I just kind of started to dabble more into that, and I decided to like fully step away from weddings at the very beginning of 2022. Once I started to kind of test it out more, went to a style
Hmm.
shoot for it, and like built my portfolio with brands, and then was like,
Cool.
okay, I think I could do this. Like, I think this is something I want to like put all my focus and energy towards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I
So
don't know.
yeah,
I'm
no,
kind
that's just
of a
so
dabbler, and then I'm like, how did I get here?
no, it was perfect. You crushed it. No, I was actually thinking just about my own story too, because I grew up in Georgia and I was outside of Atlanta. So if I had gone more into Atlanta, of course, there's a lot of like brands there. But where I was, I also worked with a couple boutiques
Yeah.
as like a
Okay.
consistent, yeah, but it was like on the side. The boutiques had a
Yeah.
lower budget,
Mhm.
and it was so fun for me.
Yeah.
But my main niche, I'd already cut weddings out, and my main niche was seniors. But
Yeah.
it was fun for me to just even hear you talk and like reminisce on my own story of like when I moved here, I was able to use those boutique photos in my portfolio and pitch to brands here because it's a little bit more of a hub here in
Yeah.
Charleston than it was where I was. But like, that's not to say that like there I couldn't have continued to do that. It just couldn't be my main niche
Yeah.
based on the income I was making at the time for like something like those boutiques.
Yes, for
But like
sure.
if it's just fun to people, they can do it wherever they are. It doesn't have to be in the hub area if it's for a fun on the side to give you almost an escape from your niche, if that makes sense. You know what
For
I mean?
sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's so
Yeah.
good. I feel like it's so great to be able to tap into something like that so that you have like the ability to know what you're capable of and know like
Yeah.
what you might love. Like you just don't know till you
Yeah.
try. So it's kind of awesome that like you also made yourself open to that and like tried it and did it and like now you love that too. And I
Yeah.
think it's so great to have like multiple passions in your photography
Totally.
journey.
Totally.
'Cause you
I
don't have
think
to
it's
pick more than one
cool.
niche.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. And like I think that's a lie that a lot of people
Yeah,
will fall into, honestly,
yeah,
but like it can stifle creativity if you niche down too
yeah,
much, honestly.
for
But I
sure.
think what I personally really value as far as like niches is maybe less of a niche in the like concept of it, like, or the topic, right? So seniors, brands, and more of a niche of your brand holistically.
Yeah,
So like things like I'm a vibrant poppy photographer that loves the beach in Charleston, South Carolina.
yeah,
You are a nostalgic, filmy, hazy photographer in San Diego.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That also loves the beach.
yeah, yeah. No,
but
seriously.
but like you guys, like if you are listening to this, maybe for you, you need to kind of define who you are as a photographer and your brand before you try to get clients because they're going to be able to find you based on your branding too.
Yeah,
So I just think that's really cool that like you moved there and then immediately got brands reaching out to you because they like your
yeah,
style.
yeah. It's crazy, and even just the fact that like my whole feed was covered in wedding stuff, like
Yeah.
weddings and couples and portraits. Like it's still cool that there was like brands who could see the potential there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah,
That's amazing.
it's
Okay, I want
definitely
to transition back to
yes.
like family life stuff
Oh yes.
because you are having a baby.
I am having a baby. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot for a second.
Congratulations.
Like talking about photography, I'm like so like, oh yeah, this is where I've been, what I've
Oh,
done. I'm like,
that's
oh my
so
gosh, yeah, I'm
funny.
pregnant.
Oh, yeah, I'm having a baby. And it's a baby
It's a
girl.
baby
Oh my
girl.
gosh, do you have the name picked out? You don't have to share it with everyone, but
Yeah, we're like dabbling. with names, but there is one that's like our top name right now. But
Is it Alex? Alex
no,
Grace, actually.
but that's a great name. I love
Thank you. You have permission to take it if you
Okay,
want.
great. Thank you.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
It's
Okay.
so funny trying to pick a name because it's like you
Oh
have like
yeah.
your name list your whole life as a girl, and then your
Mhm.
husband shuts down all of them, and you're like, okay, well, there
That's
goes
so
that.
funny.
We gotta
I
find
have
something we both
like
agree on.
I'm one where like I fall into like name trend traps really
Yeah,
easily. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So
Oh
like
yeah,
I have like a list and then I'll look back at it in 5 years and be like, "Oh no, why
yeah.
did I think that was cute?" You know?
Yeah, the top name
So,
that we both have agreed on thus far is like a pretty popular name, but it's like
okay.
a kind of like a soft name. It's like a very soft, sweet name, which I really like. But
Ooh. I'm so
yeah.
curious
I
now.
know, sorry. I will be real. I feel like I need to see her face to confirm it, you know? Like, I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't
You're
know,
one of
because I'm like
those.
scared to commit to anything yet. Because
Yeah.
what if another name pops up that we like better later? So I don't know.
That's
We'll see.
true. But you know her,
Yeah.
even as she's like in your room. You don't have to see her
Yeah.
face, you know?
Yeah.
Like you know her better than anybody. So you can name her now.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
And then tell us the name.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, though. Okay, so how do you feel like obviously you're currently pregnant, but you're
Yeah.
eventually going to be, like walking into motherhood and all of the
Yeah.
craziness. Like, how do you feel like that's going to influence your work kind of creatively, but also in terms of like running your business?
Yeah, that is such a great question. That is something that I haven't fully figured out what that
Sure.
all is going to look like, but I have an idea. Like, I've always kind of thought to myself, I'm going to go hard on my business as much as I can until, we do start having kids. And then once that does happen, I'm just going to do what feels right and what
Yeah.
feels like, what I can handle.
Yeah.
And I feel as though it will come down to like me needing to take some time off from photography for a good while because it is such a life transition. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
it is like your whole life gets rocked. Like even in
And
pregnancy.
like your body too. Like it's
Yes.
it's literally
It
every
gets
piece of
flipped
everything.
upside down. And
Yeah.
honestly, like Instagram is so hard sometimes because I see all these other photographers and entrepreneurs like just jump right back
Mm,
into their business like right after having a baby and I'm like I don't think I can do that.
how?
Like I
Yeah.
don't think I'm capable of that. But some people have to because they need to,
Mhm.
make money and they don't have maternity leave. But which I do have something to say about that actually. Ooh. Okay, wait, pause. I just
Yeah.
found this out. This is something I just recently found out. If you're a photographer and you own a business, you can get paid maternity leave. And I did not know that. Maybe other people do know that. I don't know.
Wait,
Maybe that's a known thing.
explain
But
what you're saying. Explain what you're saying.
so you know how like you get paid maternity leave in like a corporate job?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like most people who are self-employed, I think they just naturally assume I'm not going to get paid when I take time off when I have a baby because you're
Sure.
self-employed. But I'm pretty sure you can get maternity leave through the state. So that is something.
Really?
If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, yeah, I can get up to I think like 6 months of paid maternity leave.
What?
Yeah, I looked into it. There is like this. There's like maternity leave consultants, and that's what I would recommend
Interesting.
talking to. Like talk to somebody who consults those
Yeah.
situations in your state specifically because I think each state is different and some may offer it, some may not. But I know in California, you can get paid maternity leave as a self employed business owner.
That
So
is so intriguing
I
because
know.
Zach and I, like, just to be prepared for one day when
Yeah.
that happens, like we didn't want to be a surprise, right?
Uh huh.
So we put aside like 3 months of pay for
Mm-hmm.
me so that I would be able to have maternity leave, but like by myself. So I
Right.
didn't even realize that that may be an option. And I'm about to Google this when we're
You
done.
better Google it. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. And I would get ahead of it. Like I've heard of other
Yeah.
people, I've heard of other photographers. I just talked to another one who said she already got that thing started like a year prior
Okay.
or something. And I think there are some states that do it differently where you kind of have to get ahead of it and it starts pumping money into that source for
Interesting.
you when you're on maternity leave. I don't know. I truly am not an expert on this, so take my words with a grain of salt. But
Right.
but
But your
definitely look it up.
experience, yeah. Everyone's going to
Look it up.
Google
Yes,
it. Yeah.
everyone go to Google, figure out what your state offers,
That is
and
so interesting though,
yes,
Abby. Okay.
yes.
Okay, go back to your
Anyways,
life though. Yeah.
all that to say, I am just gonna try to like take some time off because I know that it's going to be hard for me. I
Mhm.
personally like with big life transitions like that. I mean, that's something I've never experienced yet, but like when I'm sleep deprived and like,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm going to be taking care of another human being 24/7, like there's no way I can multitask a business at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be fair to my clients and it wouldn't be fair to my child and like my family if I was doing that at the same time, at least freshly postpartum. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, is like right after the fact.
Yeah. And for you,
And for
everybody
my,
can make their
and
own
everyone
decisions.
is
Yeah.
capable of different things. I just know what
Right.
I am capable of. I know my limitations mentally and like physically,
Yeah.
and I just know that that's something that I cannot put myself through, or else it's going to not end very well. Because I have
Yeah.
ADHD, I already have anxiety, like I already am like very type B. My brain can be very scattered sometimes, and so
Yeah.
why make it worse by like trying to do something that I
Yeah,
just don't
that's
need to do yet?
so wise though. Like to preemptively plan for
Yeah.
those things. You're like, I know myself enough to know I need time off. That
Yes.
is so good.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And it's a hard decision because it's like, it's scary. It is
Yeah,
very scary to think about losing the momentum that my business has been building over the last couple years, especially after switching,
sure.
niches. It took a while to get that momentum back up with, consistency and
Yeah,
clientele. And now I'm like, man, that's going to get set back again. And that's okay. But it is kind of scary to think about, just because what if I feel like I'm not, like, I don't know, there's all those what ifs. It's like, what if I don't
yeah,
ever feel ready to go back to work? What if I want to pivot again? Like what if
yeah,
I want to start doing, motherhood things? Like, I don't
yeah,
know, like not influencing, maybe, I don't know, maybe some like content creation. Like, I don't know, I'm
yeah,
interested in a lot of things, and I just am like trying to keep myself very open to
yeah,
whatever feels natural and organic and feasible for me, and trying not to be like, I'm only ever going to be a brand photographer for the rest of my life. Like, no, like things change, life changes, and I'm just going to pivot as life needs to pivot to. So
yeah.
that's
That's
kind of my
so
plan.
good. And I think that's like amazing because like that's the beauty of being a creative and being
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. Like something happens and you're like, all right, well, that happened. Let's move on. Let's make a plan. Let's push forward. Like it's
I'm going to
totally
adjust.
fine,
I'm going to
And
adapt.
it also goes back to kind of what we were saying too before of like not niching down so much that you're like, this is who I am, this is my identity. Like,
Yeah.
no, your identity is something different. And then that directs everything else that happens,
Yeah.
So I think that is so good.
Yeah.
But with that, I kind of want to move on and talk about like your presets. But I'm also
Yes.
curious if your presets, because Abby just launched presets and they're beautiful. They're
Yes.
very like
Thank you.
film inspired, and I want to hear all about the things. But I'm curious if you launching presets was a kind of preemptive move on your part going into pregnancy, motherhood, taking time off.
You know what? I seriously, it's crazy. I just had this epiphany the other day that this has totally been a God thing, because I have been waiting to get these presets created for years. Like, I have
Wow.
been wanting to do this for at least 4 to 5 years now. And I never was able to do it on my own, because if you've ever tried to create your own presets, like, you know how hard it is. I
Yeah.
mean, you can do it, but like for me, I was like, this is a whole other language I do not understand. So
Yeah.
I just like could every time I tried, I failed. So I was like, I need someone who knows what they're doing, who can help me create solid presets that make sense and match my style. And thankfully, I was able to find that with Greg Peterson. He
Yeah.
is the owner of like G Presets, and he is a preset creator. So he basically does like collaborations with dozens of photographers and
That's
creates
so
presets
cool.
with them. So he basically will like look at your style, see how you edit, and he will create presets based on your style, and then you kind of tweak it together until you get like the final pack that you really feel good about. And so
Interesting.
you basically collab on it, and then he hosts it on the website, and he handles like all that customer service side of it and everything, which is amazing too. So the thing with that was, though, I reached out to him in like the fall of 2022 and was like, hey, I don't know if this is even an option, but like I would love to, I DM'd him and was like, I would love to create presets with you. And somehow, I don't even know how, but he saw my message that day, and he gets dozens of DMs, like hundreds, probably daily, of
Yeah.
people tagging, presets and stuff. And so I was shocked that he even saw my message, and we like hopped on a call that day and like signed a contract that week. And like,
That's
but
insane.
I know it's crazy, but
Like
it
so
ended up,
fast moving.
I know it ended up getting pushed back though, all the way until this summer of 2024, this summer.
Wow.
So that was like a year and a half wait, I want to say, or I don't know, fall of well, we were supposed
Don't
to
make me
start.
do math. I don't know.
Sorry, I know, right? Yeah, same. We were supposed to start the beginning of January, like 2023, and so
Okay.
it ended up being like a year and a half after that. It just
Wow.
kept getting pushed back, which is totally fine. But I was very patient. I was like, I'll wait, like
Yeah. You're like,
I'll
I just
totally
want
wait.
this. Yeah.
I know. I'm just like eager to make it happen. But it is crazy that it lined up the way that it did because
Yeah.
literally the month that it launched was the month that I completely stopped working with being in my first trimester and so
Wow.
sick.
Oh,
And we were
yeah.
able to finish it and complete it and launch it that like in that time frame. And I was able to make sales because I literally looked at my bank account, Alex, and was
Oh,
like,
no.
wow, I am almost dry, like because we have like 1,000,000 subscriptions as photographers, right? And like
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
not made
Literally.
any money for like 2 months because I was so just like down and out in the first trimester,
Oh,
unable
gosh.
to work, and was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I got to start canceling subscriptions. I got to start like reevaluating things in my business. And then we were able to launch that, and it was able to kind of replenish a little bit of that with just the
Yeah.
sales from the presets. And that was like such a God thing because I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, like I waited so long and was like, gosh, it was such a bummer that took so long. But then it was like, God knew. Like he knew that I
Yes. Like
was
the
going through
timing of
this
it.
right now in this season. And that is such a beautiful thing. And so it definitely was like something that I always wanted to do. But now that I am going to have a kid next year, it does line up perfectly where I
Yeah.
am so looking forward to having that as an option, where I can kind of focus on that and hopefully get just passive income from that pretty regularly,
Yeah.
especially while I'm not working, So
That
yeah,
is so cool.
sorry,
Yeah.
that was
And
not a long answer, but
no, I love it. And I really do. I think it's so cool that like you weren't planning on that and God just provided it in the way that
yeah,
he did. And you got frustrated on the front end and then you look at it on the back and you're like,
yeah.
oh, you
God's
knew
timing
better.
is always best. Like it's always
Yeah.
right. He always knows what he's doing. So,
Yeah. That
oh,
is
it's
so
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was like that process like of like working with him to develop the preset?
Yeah, it was great. So basically, you just hop on a FaceTime call for a good couple months and
Hmm.
kind of go. You like edit together, so you do like the screen share thing, and you just kind of edit together and see. Like you just kind of collaborate. Like I don't know how else to
Yeah,
describe it other than you're collaborating on the whole thing.
that's
Like
so
you're just kind of
cool.
like, oh, let's tweak this. Oh, let's tweak that. Can we try this? Can we try that? And it's really great. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and I'm just like always in awe. Like the whole time, I was like, I don't even know how you just did that because I'm like shocked. Like you're so talented.
That is so funny.
But yeah, so it was really cool. It was cool to see the process,
Yeah.
and get to be a part of that. And yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I'm stoked about it, and it's just been like such a dream come true to see it all come to life and
Yeah.
to see other people like love them and use them and get
Yeah.
excited about them has been the best part about it all. It's just like, oh my gosh, like because people have been asking me for presets for years, like
Yeah.
so many DMs throughout the years asking if I'll ever sell them. And oh my gosh, it just makes me so happy to be able to offer that now and give people that and for them to be super stoked about it, in the
Yeah.
end. So
And
yeah.
everyone that's listening, I promise you, you guys are going to love Abby's style. So you should go look
Oh,
at the
thank you so much.
presets. And I
Thank
say that as someone who sells presets.
Yeah, you sell
I'm like,
presets too. I was gonna say
I do. But I'm like, no, seriously, go look at
you're
Abby's
so
because
sweet.
hers are so good. And I
Well, go look
love
at
the
Alex's too
grain
because
on
hers are good
them.
too.
Thanks, Abby. But like, I love like the grain on yours and like the
Oh, thank you.
warmth to it and how it does like feel nostalgic
Thank
almost in like
you.
a beautiful way. It's very film inspired,
Thank
which
you
is
so
just really
much.
cool. But it's also cool that you shoot film in general. What
Yeah.
kind of led you to like that aesthetic in general?
Yeah, I've always loved film. I started shooting film when I was in high school because I took a photography class and they make you shoot film there. And so I kind of like got introduced to it pretty early on. But I didn't actually start doing it for fun until after college because in college, I also shot a lot of film. Like almost every project they made you shoot on film, and it was always black
That's
and
so
white
cool
film.
though.
And so it was like really boring to me for a long time because it was always in black and white. And I was actually the lab tech for our dark room
Oh,
for a whole
cool.
year, and that was like I got a very firsthand experience with the whole process. I was refilling chemicals. I was cleaning out trays, scrubbing them down, like
That's
just
wild.
all the darkroom things. And so I got very, very like firsthand experience with that. And so I think I got so annoyed with the process. I was like, ugh, film sucks. I was just like, I never want to shoot film again. And so I left college college, kind of like, screw film. I'm shooting digital for the rest of my life. But then it started becoming more of a trend again. Like, a
Yeah.
couple years later, I feel like 2021, especially, like,
Yeah.
film was coming back in full swing.
For
And
sure.
at least in the photography industry, with weddings and all that sort of stuff,
Mhm.
even brands too. And so I was like, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll just get a point and shoot for fun and, like, just start shooting it for fun and, you know, bring it on trips and just make memories with it. Because I've always loved how timeless and nostalgic it feels. And I think it's very connected to my childhood memories because I look
Mm.
at all my childhood photos and memories and it's like almost all on film. And I think
Yeah.
just wanting that for my life now and wanting to capture my life in that way now, that's just
That's
organic
cool.
and candid and, you know, just like not necessarily super formal. Like, just the informality of film is so beautiful. And I think I really wanted to start adding that to my life, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. And so then I started adding it to my work and, you know, started buying more film cameras and started kind of playing around with it more. And I even got a Super 8 camera, you know, a year or two ago and started playing with Super 8. And that has been such a joy. And I
Yeah.
think just reintroducing that whole process again into my life and into my practice has been such a really fun and unique experience to be able to, like, fall in love with it all over again. And I think honestly being able to shoot in color for the first time was like,
Yeah. You're like,
it made me
oh,
realize
there's
how
so
great
much
film actually is.
more.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's
well, film's
so
great.
funny.
I love film.
That's so funny. How do you like the whole Super 8 thing?
I love it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it is very tricky though. Like,
That's what I've heard.
it can be very it's very testing. It'll test you, you know, but, like, it depends on your camera. I mean, if you get a nice Super 8 camera, it'll
Yeah.
probably be pretty, it'll probably work out pretty good. But, like, the one I have is kind of janky.
Yeah.
It's like your first kind of starter Super 8 camera. So when you focus it, you can't really tell if you're focusing it or not.
That's
And
what I've heard. That's so
yeah, so a lot of
funny.
it will come out super blurry, and that's super depressing. But there has been times where it's come out beautiful, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like, what a fun way to capture life.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That is so cool. I love getting to hear because I don't shoot film. Like, I just think it's so intriguing,
yeah,
you know? And I keep
you should
like,
try.
I know, I keep going back and forth, but it's like shooting film is expensive.
Yeah, and
Like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
yeah. And for me,
it's
I am a
ridiculous.
cheap girly queen. Like,
Yes,
I don't want to spend money on anything.
honestly, save your money. Yeah, honestly, that's so
And
valid.
like if it fits into my business, but it really doesn't fit like at least right now my editing style. Now
Yeah,
that could shift with however I decide I want my editing style to be. but
yes,
but but as of right now it doesn't fit my business and so it would be
for sure.
personal that I do it. And that's where it's like I want to, but do I want to spend money? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that totally makes
It's
sense.
so
I
funny.
totally validate that.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Because
I needed the
my channel has
validation.
suffered immensely from film.
That is hilarious. Okay, well, earlier you mentioned kind of obviously like God's timing and you were talking about being close to your church and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
with God being such a like prominent kind of part of your life, how does your faith shape your work as like a photographer, an entrepreneur, a wife, really whatever you
Wow.
want?
Yeah. Well, like, God, I mean, in my bio on Instagram, you'll see, like, God comes first. Like, it says that, and I've always had that there, and that's always run true for me. And, like, I give God all the glory in my business. Like, none of this would have happened to me if it wasn't for
Mm,
God and, like, the way He's provided in my life and has blessed me so much with opportunities and clients and friendship and community.
yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. And I think just being a photographer and being an artist, like, that's always who God has made me to be. Like, even from a young child, I was always so creative and so interested in, like, the more creative side of things. And I think that's truly, like, a part of God's design and how He designed me as Abby. And I am just trying to steward that to the best of my ability and
Cool.
with how I run my business and my life and all that stuff. I think it comes with, me obviously not being perfect. I am so not perfect, but
Yeah.
I try to approach my business and photography with as much humility as I possibly can,
Yeah.
knowing that, like, you know what, like, I am not all that. Like, there are days and times where you have to humble yourself, especially for your clients and for the people around you in the
Yeah.
community you work with. Like, there, you can end up in situations where you need to really think to yourself, like, okay, how do I want to be remembered in this situation?
That's good.
How do I want to leave this shoot? You know, like, what kind of imprint do I want to leave on this client? Even though they're being really hard to work with, like how do I want to serve them anyways and like give them a great customer experience. So I think that has always kind of stayed in the back of my mind as a believer and just trying to always recenter myself with the Lord and use that as my motivation to um, do good and be a good person in this industry that can, shed light in dark places. I mean, there are some dark places in this industry, and there are people who will step on you and, just like shove you to the side and not care and keep going, and like, I think it's just really cool to be in a place where you can, and just in an industry where you can choose how you're going to treat people. I think how you treat people and how you present yourself, how you leave a situation, I think that it just will speak volumes. I think actions speak louder than words every single time. And to me, like, it is a beautiful ministry that I get to call my business, like my business is my ministry. And like, at least right now it is, soon it will be my child. But like, like, I think it's been really cool to be able to just like allow God to use that. And that doesn't always mean, telling every person I meet about Jesus, but just showing people, who I am by the way that I treat them and how I act and what I do. And I think that always will speak volumes. So that's always been a huge part of, how I view my business and how I try to go about that. But
I love that. I love and second everything you said. But I do love like just the practicality of asking in the back of your head, how do I want to be remembered in this situation? I think something that is like very common in our industry right now is posting online. Obviously, we all should be posting online, right? But when something bad happens, posting online about it and talking about it isn't always the best thing to do when your brand represents your business. Or like your Instagram represents your business. Like, yes, we are personal people and we have opinions and we have values and all of these things, but sometimes those don't need to also show in our business. And I think it's hard sometimes, like sometimes something bad will happen and I'll see somebody post like this long rant or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but that doesn't reflect well on your business, So asking ourselves, like, how do we want to be remembered? What legacy do we want to leave for the key people and community around us? I think is so, so, so important. So I love that. But looking ahead, what do you feel like you're most excited about, both as obviously a photographer, but then also as a new mom? So do you have anything like coming up that you're really excited about?
You know what? Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like this whole year has honestly been a lot of big, like, kind of like, I don't know if milestones is the right word, but like, I feel like I've kind of done a lot of things this year where I'm finally at the point in the year where I'm like, okay, I can breathe. I'm kind of dying down on I'm like, things are kind of winding down a little bit for me. Like I hosted a really big event at the very beginning of this year for brand photographers. And that was all just like a educational event for people to come and learn from a panel of brand photographers. So it was a very big teaching event. And so that was like a huge deal for me to be able to put that on, throw that whole event and do that whole thing. And then, I like filmed a whole course that just actually got launched today. There's a whole video course. Thank you. It's crazy. It's wild. I'm like, it's great. There's been so many things this year. I'm like, I can't even keep track. Like I have the presets and like I have like this video course that just launched today and
a lot of education.
Like a lot of education and things that have launched recently. And I even like launched the recording of the event that I hosted earlier this year. And that's not like on the market right now, but I might bring it back for a little bit this fall during Black Friday. We'll see. So there's just been a lot of stuff kind of being put out there into the world this year. And so I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready for a break.
Time to chill.
I'm just going to start kind of winding down, especially since we're heading into the holidays. I usually take things slow in the holiday season, and I'm going to be pregnant and heading into next year very
wanting
pregnant.
to eat cookies.
Yes. All the pie and
hot chocolate.
Yes. And so I'm kind of like, I don't have any big plans for my business right now. Just not knowing what the future looks like with like adding a baby to the equation.
Totally.
But I am very excited to become a mom. I am really excited for that part of my life. And I've always looked forward to that, and I think it's going to be a really sweet
Yeah.
season to experience that for the first time. So I'm just going to try to soak that up as much as I
Yeah.
can, and just focus on what's in front of me, and then see what I can handle and add to that
I
after.
love that. I am so excited for you,
Yeah,
Abby.
thank
So
you.
genuinely, so excited.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Okay, if there's like any advice that you could give, I think when I sent you the questions, I basically said like any advice for anyone who wants to move into brand photography because they're in a different niche. So you can talk about that if you want to, but really just advice for photographers in general that you have. I think you're super wise. So anything you
Oh,
got,
you're so
we're all
sweet.
gonna love.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. I feel like if you're just starting out and you're wanting to get into brand work or, anything like that, the best thing you can do is to, start kind of like testing it out. And what I mean by that is like actually just like finding someone to model for you,
Yeah.
gather any product that you love and would love to shoot in general, like that you already have, or go out and buy something and shoot it and just start practicing. Practice makes
Yeah.
perfect. I still practice all the time. I even for the last like 2.5 years, I try to always have at least 1 or 2 test shoots a month, which is what I would call a portfolio shoot. So that's kind of what I would recommend starting with, and
Yeah.
then start investing in some education. See and try to start following people along that you can look up to in the industry.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
think it's really hard to know what to do or where to go when you're starting out if you don't have anyone to look to. So I think it's important to have people you can kind of look up to and follow along with, and see what their journey has been like and how they started and where they are now and what education they offer. Sorry. So that is a huge thing. So I think those two things are huge. And then, building your community and making connections with vendors is huge. And
Yeah.
at least in the brand industry,
Yeah.
if you want to make connections with models, you want to make connections with makeup and hair artists and
Yes.
stylists and anything in that, niche and regard, I feel like you would want to start tapping into that and start looking for people to connect with. Honestly,
Yeah.
models is a great place to start. I would start with models because they usually have connections with all those
Yeah.
other people. And they usually can even get you a job with a brand. So, so that's what I would say. I don't know. Let's start dabbling with those things and see how it goes. See if you like it and if you can get any traction on it, and then go from there. And if
Yeah.
that is still hard, look for someone that can mentor you and
Yeah.
try to, gain some insight. But
I love it. You are so wise, and I
you're,
just love everything, all the little nuggets that you've had today.
you're
It's
so
so
sweet.
good, Abby.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically, what I've been doing lately with my podcast is every guest that I've had on, I've asked them what question they want me to ask my next podcast guest. So
Oh,
this is the first time where I'm actually batching episodes today. So I actually had an interview with somebody else before this,
uh-huh.
and your podcast episode is coming out before theirs.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
so
kind
funny.
of flipped. So everyone's going to be a little bit confused if they're like, they are caught up on all the
Yeah,
episodes. Going to be like, that is not the question that happened last time. But I'm saying that just so everybody knows I didn't get it wrong. Just the timing is different. Okay.
totally.
So here is the question from my last guest. And it's kind
Okay.
of funny. Are you a window seat or an aisle seat person, and
Oh,
why?
aisle seat all the way.
Ooh, what's your
On a
why?
plane? Are we talking about
Yeah,
planes?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
trains, maybe. I don't know. I'm
I think that,
assuming.
yeah. I'm assuming a plane. Aisle seat all the way, simply because I have such bad flight anxiety.
Oh,
I used to sit by the window if I flew alone, just because I feel like I don't know, looking out the window makes me feel a little bit less claustrophobic sometimes.
yeah.
But I have found that sitting in the aisle helps me so much more. I feel like just being able to like stretch a leg out into the aisle, or
That's what
even
I
just
said
like,
too.
yes,
I was
or
like, I
just
have bad
breathe,
knees.
and being able to just like get out of your little aisle first, like when the
Yeah.
plane lands, like being shoved by the window in the corner is honestly it's so claustrophobic to me. I have like claustrophobia on planes.
You're like,
And
even
so,
thinking about it, I see your like body language is
yes,
like
I'm literally
tensing
like
up.
thinking about it right now, and I'm like, nah. My husband is
That's
so
amazing.
sweet though. Every time we fly together, he always lets me sit in the aisle, and he always sits in the
Aw.
middle.
Zach does that for me
He's
too.
an
Go
angel.
Zachs.
Our Zacks are angels. They're
They're the
so
best.
sweet. But yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay, that is amazing. I love it. I thought that was such a funny question.
I love it. That's a great question.
Okay, what question should I ask my next guest?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. I feel like I personally love hearing people's unpopular opinions.
Ooh,
So I would probably be like, what's your like most unpopular opinion?
like in general or photography?
Ooh, maybe in photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm curious.
I'm so curious. You'll have to listen to it. Okay, perfect. Okay, tell everybody where they can find you. I know we already talked about it in the beginning, but just in case
Yes.
they missed it.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Abbey Jo Photos, and Abbey as in like Abbey Road, like the Beatles. I feel like it's so funny. People are, it's either like, oh, that's totally how you spell that name, or oh, I've never have ever seen anyone spell it like that,
That's so
ABBY,
funny.
and I'm like, Abbey Road, come on, guys, the Beatles.
Remember?
Downton Abbey.
Anything.
It's historical, okay?
That is so funny.
But yeah, anyway, so Abbey Jo Photos on Instagram. I'm on TikTok too. I don't know what my username is. I think it's either Abbey Jo Photos or Abby Sydenham on TikTok. But TikTok is kind of more of my playground. I'm not super serious about TikTok as I am about Instagram. Like for my business, like I share more life fun stuff on TikTok than I do on Instagram.
That's fun. Well, I want to see that too. I'll go follow
Oh,
you.
yeah. A lot of videos of my dog, honestly.
As you should.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Sorry.
Well,
Oh my gosh,
no, you're
sorry.
good. As we're talking about your dog, it was
Yeah,
perfect.
ask more about him.
He said yes. Hello. I love it. Okay, well, I think we are good. We can go ahead and end this episode out. This was a great conversation. Seriously, thank you for coming because you're the best. And one day we're gonna get together.
One day.
Like one day it's gonna happen. We can meet in the middle, whatever's in the middle of California and South Carolina. That's where we're gonna go. You'd be like, I don't know, what's in the middle?
I don't know.
Arkansas or something?
No, not Wisconsin. That's at the top.
Texas.
There we go.
Honestly, that would be fun. We meet up randomly in Texas.
I don't even know. I'm so bad with geography.
I am too. We won't talk about it. Okay, on that note, we're going to end out this episode.
Bye, guys.
Okay, I love you guys so much. This was Let's Create with Alex Blake, and I'm your host, Alex Blake. I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.
I just wanna make something that matters to myself.